Hello, welcome back to WBAMC Med-Talks. This is our second broadcast here, or podcast, sorry. I'm used to saying broadcast rather than podcast. I'm getting used to all this.
Yeah, podcast, broadcast. I mean, we're our broadcasting to our wonderful listeners. So, same.
Yeah, so the month of March is TBI Awareness Month, and our special guest is Dr. Sean Sebesta. He's a wonderful doctor here that has helped many service members recover from concussions and any other TBI symptoms. WBAMC provides this service to our service members and family members to help them recover and get back to normal.
Yes, I think it's a great service. I know when I was doing my transition period of getting out, I had to take the little TBI test on the computer and go through the little symptoms, and I wasn't aware of the whole TBI, what was TBI, and
yeah, it was just coming out more informative. What if you don't mind me asking, what year was that around?
That was around, I want to say 2016, 17ish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not too far, but the way time's going, we're in 2023, so it seems like a whole decade. But
time flies when you're getting old like we are.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. So I understand that too. And the thing that we're going to focus on when we talk is mainly concussions. We're going to be asking Dr. Sebesta about how serious should we take it. I have two boys, and they played football when they were young. Here in El Paso, the tackle football thing is a huge deal. They take it serious.
Yes.
Parents take it serious. Coaches take it serious. And seeing them little kids running around with their helmets and the full gear is not only nice, but I always wonder, all that hitting, is it something I should be concerned about? So Dr. Sebesta will be talking to us today about it.
Yes. Texas is a football state. So, and Pop Warner football is very popular here. But that does that is a worry about TBIs and CTE. So just to see where, the technology is going to see the symptoms and, to put a lot of people at ease where you can spot the symptoms early. So I think TBI month is awesome. This is my second time being aware of it. I'm so excited about the information coming out so I can pass that information along. And I think this interview or this whole segment is going to be good beneficiary for everybody.
Yeah, I'm excited too. So we'll be back with Dr. Sebesta after this quick PSA.
A brain warrior is someone who protects their head and maintains operational readiness. Being a brain warrior means improving the ability of healthcare providers to identify, care for, and treat service members and veterans affected by TBI. A brain warrior actively understands the importance of seeking care for a concussion and knows when they've been exposed to a potentially concussive event. Brain warriors ensure our nation's warfighters perform at their optimized capacity by using the latest clinical tools to treat patients, improve outcomes, and maintain a ready medical force.
Welcome back. We're here today with Med-Talks with WBAMC and our special guest, Dr. Sebesta, the expert in TBI for TBI Awareness Month. How are you, sir?
I'm just fine. Thank you for having me.
Did I say your name right?
Sebesta.
Sebesta?
Mm-hmm.
First name, Sean?
Sean.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I went to St. Edward's University in Austin, Texas for my undergraduate, and then I went on to Texas Tech Medical School. Did my family practice residency here in El Paso with the Texas Tech Family Medicine Residency. Started working here in 2008 with the WTU. After 2 years, I transferred over to the TBI program.
Right. WTU meaning the Warrior
Transition Unit,
which is now the Soldier Recovery Unit, right?
Yes, they changed the name periodically. And then in 2014, I became chief of the Traumatic Brain Injury Program, and have continued in that position since.
Since 2018, then you've been working.
Since 2014 is when I started as chief, and in 2010 is when I started as in TBI itself.
So working with mostly service members that have suffered
Service
TBI.
members only. We're a service member oriented group, and we focus on concussion. We're actually what's called a Category 2 traumatic brain injury program, which means we focus on concussion and its comorbidities. We will handle some moderate, and we will also see some severe, but only after they've gone through their intensive rehabilitation, which is capabilities we're not capable of at our location.
So we work with the network, though, for them to receive that type of recovery.
Yeah, with the network, they often end up in the polytrauma units with the VA or over in San Antonio, different locations.
Okay, awesome. So with all the experience you've had thus far, can you tell us why is it important in TBI awareness to bring that awareness this month and talk about it? Why is it important to bring it to the public?
Sure. Well, one thing, just before we get started, I'd like to mention that, we mentioned TBI. What we're really going to be talking about is concussion, and concussion is also known as mild traumatic brain injury. They are essentially the same thing. Okay. And we tend to like to use the word concussion because people who've grown up with concussions, they understand in general what they are, but a mild traumatic brain injury is not something that they...
That's your fault. It's okay.
Yeah, it's my office.
You're a busy man. We know that, and we appreciate you coming out here to talk to us.
Sure. We try to use the term concussion because it's a term people are familiar with, and people generally expect to get better from concussions.
Right.
My experience has told me that telling someone they've had a mild traumatic brain injury is kind of like saying you have mild cancer. They hear the cancer part or the TBI part, not so much as the mild.
Right.
Whereas a concussion is something that many of them have experienced or have had friends who have had concussions and kind of know that it's something that, it injures you, but for the most part, you tend to get better and recover from it and get back to normal eventually. So
are we to take mild concussions seriously? How seriously do we need to take it? For example, there's some parents that have children in football and they have a mild concussion. How seriously are we to take that?
Sure, they need to take it very seriously, just like you've, we do suspect that chronic concussions, chronic subconcussive blows, in other words, like you get in football, when you add all those up, that what we're seeing in the, like the professional leagues is we're seeing chronic traumatic encephalopathy. So we suspect, and we've seen even in 18-year-olds, evidence of early chronic traumatic encephalopathy in people that had played football in their younger years. Right. Imagine they were 18 when they passed away. Oh. So, not from the chronic traumatic encephalopathy, but they could see evidence of it. So we need to take it seriously. We need to do everything we can. The helmets are getting better and better. The rules in football have been changing so that we don't do as many of the plays that involve hitting directly with the head. Right. We're making a real effort to avoid having as many of those types of blows as possible, because the evidence is becoming more and more that is the wisest way to go. So do you, as a doctor here at William Beaumont, and what specifically does Beaumont provide for those that have suffered a TBI, those service members? Like, what do they get? What type of therapy, if I may? I don't know the right word to use. But. No, that's absolutely correct. Generally, when someone first has a concussion, they don't need to come see the specialized program for it. Most of the people are going to heal in a normal pathway within, basically about a month or so. Okay. However, that's not the pathway for all, and so they generally follow up with their primary care, and the primary care will instigate with something called progressive return to activity, which is a kind of a manualized process of how to get that soldier back to normal activity. If they don't seem to be progressing as expected, that's when we get a referral. And when they get to us, we do an intensive evaluation. And when we start looking, because they're complaining usually of attention and memory issues, they're often complaining of irritability issues. They're complaining of problems with sleep, often severe insomnia. 3 to 4 hours is a common complaint. We are often dealing with chronic severe headaches. And I'm kind of mixing in the ones who get referred to us early, but also the ones who get referred to us late. The ones who have had concussions years ago and get to us are all complaining of a very similar type of symptoms.
So if they've had a concussion years ago, symptoms can show up later
No.
in life? Okay.
No, I
just want to make sure we dispel that.
No, I would think of a concussion more like a bruise.
Okay.
Once it's healed, it's healed. It's not going to come back and get new symptoms. Okay. However, we do have some evidence that referred to us. Like I said, they get a very complete evaluation. We got to have a full hour with them and often run over. And the reason is because we are evaluating all the aspects of attention and memory that could be affected. So we evaluate things like binocular vision, how well the eyes work together, because attention is, of course, paid through the eyes and is paid through the ears. So we are looking at hearing loss. We're looking at functional hearing loss in the form of tinnitus. The ringing in the ears that some people get. And some people that becomes so annoying and interfering, they have trouble understanding the spoken word, and so in effect get a functional hearing loss. And it's very difficult to pay attention if you cannot visualize or hear the things that are coming at you. And the reason that's so important is attention is the way that you basically inform your own brain what you want to remember and what you don't. Low attention means that you're going to be basically discarding that information and won't be keeping that information for more than a few moments to minutes. If you're putting higher attention, think something more like studying. You're putting higher attention with the idea to put it into your memory. So anything interfering with that process is going to decrease your chances of forming a significant memory of whatever event that you're paying attention to.
So those are some of the things that you focus on with the service member.
The headaches, the neck pain. If you get hit in the head, you tend to injure your neck. We get something called cervicogenic headache, or at least a cervicogenic component to the headache, which is basically a neck pain input that can generate or trigger or help continue a severe headache in its course. So we want to work on those aspects of things. As well, when you injure your neck, you lose some of your ability to rotate your neck, which means, if you're on patrol and you have a very limited range of motion, you're not going to be able you're not going to be able to pay as much attention to the things around you, which, of course, in patrol and in combat situations can be deadly.
So is the goal with all of this treatment to get the service member back into the fight?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We want to get them back to the full duties of their MOS. And that is usually an attainable type of thing. We concentrate on all these different. We work on the behavioral health aspects as well, because if you think about it, a lot of times if the injury comes from a blast, well, that blast can also create a combat stress situation for the soldier, develop anxiety, et cetera. And things like anxiety and combat stress also have a direct impact on attention and therefore memory. The other thing that you see there in almost all these soldiers is severe insomnia. When you have severe insomnia, 3 to 4 hours sleep is not enough to have normal cognition, normal thinking the next day. You're going to be slower, reaction times are going to be slower, processing of information is going to be slower, and therefore you're also going to affect attention and memory.
So if the goal is to get the soldier or the service member back into the fight, have we had a lot of success with that here at Beaumont?
Yes, absolutely. The vast majority of soldiers return to their normal activities. They will sometimes be with us for 3 months, sometimes 6 months. Some aspects of care may go longer, but generally, that's what we're able to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and rarely is there ever a med board for a concussion. It just generally doesn't go that far. Okay. If there is a major reason that can sometimes lead to med board in a soldier who has a history of concussion, it would be if they develop severe post-traumatic migraines that just are not treatable and just don't respond to treatment and interfere enough with duties that they're no longer able to perform.
Okay. Well, I'm sure a lot of soldiers and leaders will be listening to this. What do you want to tell them when it comes to their teams or their squads or their companies? What do you want to tell those leaders when it comes to their soldiers and TBI? What can they do to help or look out for it?
Sure. One of the first things is kind of recognizing what's in front of you. And what I mean is a concussion by the Department of Defense definition is either a loss of consciousness less than 30 minutes, but the vast majority of them are not loss of consciousness. Many of them are alteration of consciousness, which is essentially the person who becomes disoriented, confused. The whole dazed and confused idea. If they see stars when they get hit, that's not normal. That's the brain's vision center reacting to a blow. That is a concussion. It may not be a very strong one, but it's a concussion if that's the only thing they have. However, it still can lead on because we don't have a direct link between severity of the concussion and directly what are going to be the complications thereof of that same concussion. So you still have to get it documented, get evaluated. They need follow-up within 3 calendar days, 72 hours. They need that second evaluation to make sure that they're not getting worse in any way, shape, or form. And then they need to be followed by their PCM, and then eventually they get returned to duty. They are put on a profile. There's a automatic profile that is available in the e-profile system. So the medics and the PAs or the battalion surgeons can put them, the ER doctors, whoever, can put them on that.
On the profile.
On that profile to help protect them.
And help them recover, right?
Yes.
Do you give the same advice to families as well of maybe an injured soldier or service member that has suffered a concussion or a TBI?
In terms of same advice
that you gave the leaders?
Yeah, the same advice, absolutely. You know, you want to have them followed up right away after the initial. The initial should be evaluated, and you want to. The main reason for that first evaluation is you want to check out for anything that's telling the doctor or PA that NP that the soldier may be needing a little more help, may need to be entering the hospital, because not every concussion is just a concussion.
Right.
Some can be have an internal bleed of some sort, and those are the sorts of things that you want to watch out for. Those are the things we really worry about in terms of those head blows.
Okay, that's good. So, are there any statistics that you want to share with us within either Beaumont or DOD?
Well, I can tell you that here in the El Paso market, we generally get about 30 new concussions a month. It can be as many as 50. It can be as low as 20, but I'd say 30 is a pretty good estimate. Yeah. DOD-wide, since 2000 up through 2022, I got some numbers here, 468,424 total TBIs. Of that, 385,000 were concussions. So you're looking at 82.3% of those are concussions. And about 80% of those concussions happen in garrison, not in combat deployment. So that's very important to understand. 20 years ago, those concussions would have just been, hey, shake it off, soldier.
Walk it off,
You walk it off, et cetera. And now they're generally being evaluated.
Taken more serious.
Taken more seriously. And think about it. We have combatives. They have all that training that they do. They're often working at heights. I can't tell you how many concussions have been caused by falling tent poles. Those tent poles are heavy.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Hatches falling on, doors hitting.
I had one fall on my foot once. It's not fun.
No, these things, a lot of what they use are very heavy duty, up armored. So, like I said, the doors, the hatches.
Oh, yes. I'm an old tanker, so I can tell you how many times I didn't get hit with the hatch coming inside the tank.
Ouch.
Yeah, and just the hatch falling. And lucky enough, I had my Kevlar. But that's a common theme in combat arms.
Absolutely. And a lot of it happens when they're not combat deployed, so they may not even have their helmet on at the time.
Lord. Ouch.
And they definitely pay attention to it. It's a mistake that they generally don't make twice, because it is. You pay attention. Those things hurt, like you just said. You've been right there, and you can't prevent it every time. There's just so many things that go on.
No.
The Army by definition, I think to a certain point, is organized chaos.
Right.
You got so much going on. You're doing everything you can at every moment, but you can't walk in perfect march step together for every single thing you do. And so there's a lot of activity, and that does lead to injuries and what is inherently a dangerous business.
Awesome. So we want to mention a little bit too about the new center that's coming, that's going to be focused on the TBI injuries. So it's more of a holistic approach.
Sure.
But we're already doing that here now, right?
Yes.
It's just a great gift given to us that we can definitely use.
Arnold Fisher and the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund have just done an amazing amount of gift giving to the Department of Defense, especially the U.S. Army. They've already built 9 of these Intrepid Spirit Centers. They're 25,000 square foot buildings that they build, and then they give them to the U.S. government, to the Department of Defense.
Right. We had our groundbreaking win. I think it was
December 1st, I think it was.
Was it December 1st?
I think so, because it's still kind of cold outside. Yeah.
I see the frame and the framing of it coming up now. So that's exciting to see at this point.
Absolutely. And, you mentioned holistic and interdisciplinary is how we think of it, because they have so many different things going on. Treatment of one thing helps the treatment, the response of the other ailments they have. If you treat post-traumatic stress disorder, which is causing problems with sleep and it's causing hypervigilance, which interferes with attention, well, if you're decreasing PTSD symptoms over time, you should see some improvement to sleep and some improvement to attention. Generally, would not be enough all by itself,
right.
But then you start attacking all those other different aspects, the different what we call comorbidities,
right.
And then you start to see jumps, and you start to see some significant improvement to the point where soldiers are saying, and I'm not exaggerating, TBI program saved my life. It really makes a difference in not just their work life, but their home life, and their sense that they have a real future in front of them.
So you do have soldiers that come back maybe after a time or a few years, I don't know, and they let you know how much it's helped them and improved?
When I usually see them is when they're on their way out. Oh. And they're kind of summarizing, because they'll take the time, perhaps hand me a coin, or it's very, very touching. Or many of them will just say, this program has done so much for me. I have had soldiers in the past that say I would be dead if I hadn't found this program. Because we know suicide is a significant issue in the Army. Oh. And, when you're besieged by so many things, different types of chronic pain, the PTSD, the attention and memory issues, which, to some people, you feel like you're losing your mind. This can paint a pretty bleak picture. They have so many troubles with their families. It helps lead to a sense of hopelessness and despair. But
there's hope.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In the TBI program here at William Beaumont.
That's one of the first things we do when we spend that first hour with them. That first hour, usually an hour and a half. I probably shouldn't say that, but that's what it takes.
Yeah.
It really is all about the education of that soldier, so they have motivation and real reason to come back. And
Yes.
when they leave, they are often saying, that thank you so much. No one's explained it like this to me. Now I'm getting and understand. Okay, I'm in. I buy in. I'll be here.
Awesome. That's
And
great.
it does make a real difference, and it makes a real difference when they're leaving. In terms of, they really do tend to sum up their experience in terms of thank yous and appreciation for what the program has done for them.
Well, Dr. Sebesta, we want to thank you for coming out. Is there any last words of wisdom that you would like to give us?
Basically, you can go back to one, thanking the Army has actually embraced a interdisciplinary, holistic program, which is not your traditional model. Normally, it's you have a specialty, you go there, you work on one thing, et cetera. They've embraced, and when I say Army, let's say Department of Defense at this point, especially the medical aspect of the Department of Defense has discovered this. They've also created the Interdisciplinary Pain Management Center, which has a similar holistic interdisciplinary approach. So we're seeing a very traditional institution starting to embrace and lead in the changes and the treatment of something that was really stymieing and preventing the movement forward of so many soldiers. And so we're giving them their pathway back to a more normal life and to, like you said, back to hope and back to their jobs, because most of them just want to get back to work and be able to interact with their families normally. They don't want to be in constant pain from their severe headaches. They want to be able to focus on their lives.
Right.
And that's our goal. That's our vision.
That's awesome. So thank you, Dr. Sebesta. We'll be back after a quick PSA.
Last year, over 15,000 service members experienced a traumatic brain injury. Most occurred from car accidents, falls, and sports. TBIs can impact mission readiness. Stay safe. Learn the symptoms. And seek medical treatment if you think you have an injury. Learn more at health.mil/TBI.
And we're back from that PSA, wonderful PSA. Vince, how'd you think the interview went? I think it was a great interview.
It was a lot of information. I didn't know. And as we said earlier in the broadcast, the podcast, TBI Awareness Month is this month, and he gave out a lot of good facts.
Yeah. So thankfully, my kids don't play football anymore. They stopped after a few years.
Yeah, my son too.
1 to 2 years before COVID hit, and sports was all like, whoa, do we play or not?
Yeah, that's how my son was. Right when COVID hit, then we were dealing with COVID. I think a lot of the schools were trying to figure out the whole sports game plan, and my son was like, "Nah, I'm gonna do other things." But that put me and my wife at ease, because we really was concerned about the whole, TBI and just
Me too.
concussions. And today's interview, it was a lot of information put out about concussions and what's the DOD stand on concussions, which I love, and this is wonderful.
Absolutely. So I remember my son, my oldest, did have a concussion, and I remember that they took him off the field and they told me go get him checked, and I did. I took him, had the doctor a day or two after take a look at him and cleared him, that he's going to be fine. So thankfully, thank the Lord, we did not have anything there after. He was doing okay.
Well,
I
good.
still was like checking in on him when he was sleeping.
Mama bear.
Making sure he's breathing, making sure when he would wake up, like, do you know what day it is?
Yeah.
Do you know what you want to eat? Are you hungry? Kind of, just checking up on him. But the fact that we've had such success here at William Beaumont and the El Paso market with TBI recovery or concussions, looking at them, and the statistics that he gave me really told me one thing, was that we can't just let our service members walk it off.
No.
If they get hit in the head, no matter what, stop, make sure they're okay, have them get checked out.
Yes. And I spoke to experience of this earlier in the podcast about this being that, cavalry soldier in the motor pool, doing the hustle and bustle
I
of.
could feel you getting hit. Like when you were talking about it, I was like, oh my God, that must have hurt so bad.
And just, when you're doing motor pool maintenance on that Monday and you're running around and you're prepping to go over to the field or NTC, and you're dealing with these, armored vehicles, you're not really thinking or, I'm running in, I'm running out.
Yeah.
And just, things happen. And I have so many stories of getting hit, just going in the back of the track or getting down in the hatch and just hitting my head. And, we seeing stars or the Tweety birds and you just going like, oh, okay.
I wanted to ask him, like, is it true how they show it in the movies or in cartoons? But I did not want to. He was really serious about it. So,
yeah.
But, if you do see stars, he confirmed it. If you see stars, it's not normal.
Yeah.
And it's not normal. You need to get checked out.
Yeah, he said that the definition of a concussion, DOD, is 30 minutes while losing conscience.
Yeah,
and
disorientation.
Disorientation for 30 minutes. And I got stories being disorientated. Yeah, just and
oh Lord.
Like we said, just being a soldier, just you learn to walk it off. You shake it off, go drink some water, splash it on your face, and you get back to it.
Yeah, but we can't anymore. We got to make sure everyone's okay. Get checked out. So that is our final, or not our final, hopefully not our final. That is our podcast for this month for TBI awareness. The lesson learned and the bottom line here is if you have a concussion or feel or suspect a concussion, get it checked out. This is WBAMC Med-Talks. Thank you. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed through this podcast are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the Department of Defense, the Defense Health Agency, the El Paso Market, and WBAMC Army Medical Center. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. WBAMC Army Medical Center and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific